Hello everyone, welcome back, Ronan here, and this is my first A1 Savage kill with a pickup group. And today I'm going to add some commentary to this video, and that hopefully will help, especially tanks, with some tips and how I dealt with the mechanics. The fight starts at about 2 minutes into the video. If there's something I missed or that I did not have enough time to add into, I will add it in annotations. Now, a few things that you need to know is you need to communicate with your healers, explain to them what your plan is, what your rotation might be. There's 3 tank busters in the fight for each tank, and there's a lot of healing going on. There's a few mechanics during the fight that you have to deal with, and they're not too bad, but with the amount of coordination, and that this fight is very team-based, you need to know where you're going, you need to communicate where you're going as a group and how to play as a group. So in this video, I'm playing the warrior off tank, and I go full strength. Crystal Lake was another warrior in the group. He started off full vit, and after getting more used to the fight, he decided to go full strength because he noticed that he wasn't doing enough damage. Now, I'm going to post the parse at the end for you guys, just to see how much damage you need to be pulling, and it's a very DPS intensive fight. In this group, we got pretty lucky. The Scholar and myself pulled some pretty good damage for a tank and healer. The more damage you can do as either a healer or a tank will help your DPS classes with their mistakes. The goal is to be able to bring the boss down to 60% health before the 0.5 appears. On the pull, I don't really have time to do my 3 Fell Cleave opener, so I use my Vengeance and Raw Intuition for extra stacks, because then they'll be back in time for when it's time for me to tank. So I managed to only get 2 Fell Cleaves in my rotation. This will change when I have enough skill speed for my 3 Fell Cleave opener. Now, there's multiple ways to deal with resin bombs. One group I did, they were okay with dropping him in the boss's hitbox, but the Dragoon complained in this group saying that it was hard for him to do his rotation and his jumps, so we dropped him out of there. There's multiple ways to do this. Just make sure the group is aware of how you guys are dealing with this. Now, with the ads, you can let the range DPS deal with it. If you have a summoner, they can Death Flare, and it does a lot of damage. But then if you would have the resin bomb under the boss's hitbox, they would actually stay there and not be much of a threat. Just be careful, when they die, they leave a puddle that will give you mini. As the main tank, there's not really much going on, so just do a few rotations. Make sure you have all your cooldowns for the first tank buster, which is called Plasma. As long as you know that your cooldowns will be ready for the first tank buster, feel free to use them to help your healers out. So as the off tank here, you want to push DPS. Like I said, the goal is 60%. So now the main tank pulled the boss away. That maximizes how much damage we do instead of pulling him in early on in the fight. So now it's my turn to tank, and I rotate my cooldowns. I use Raw Intuition. I use as much as I can to help my healer have an easier time, especially since I'm in a strength build. I have less HP and gives less of a buffer. So here I put the resin bomb under my target because the Dragoon is on the main tank's target. And this way I can still push DPS and it's not a big problem. So the whole time you're just trying to push DPS. Now, the tank buster will come about 10 seconds after hydrothermal missiles. So you can use your Vengeance there, and it should be up for the tank buster. If you're not doing it like I do, make sure you have Inner Beast ready. I use Home Gang for the first and third. That way it doesn't matter, the healer knows not to heal me. I pop Equilibrium, and if I have Second Wind after, and Inner Beast to top myself back up. If you really need to, you can also use Thrill of Battle. For every tank buster around, you can use Vengeance, Inner Beast, and Thrill of Battle and be safe. But that also requires, you know, your healers to know what you're doing, and that you can't use certain DPS abilities. If I use Home Gang, I can use my cooldowns around me being able to push more damage. Now here, I pop Convalescence a bit before they jump up, so that I can tell my Scholar that he can use Tactical Deployment, I think, and it will give Adlo to the rest of the group that is boosted by Convalescence, so you end up taking a lot less damage. Now here, there's two ways to do this. With this group, we opted not to do a tank swap, but generally I would take the ad that's on my side. For tanking purposes, I always go back to A. That way there's less confusion, and the other tank always goes back to B. And then it's your choice between both tanks to either swap targets or let them move. Now I find that you do a lot more damage if you provoke and keep the ad that's on your side, but that's totally up to you. Now the big thing here in these phases is to make sure that you don't screw over your DPS by putting a resin bomb over the lasers, and to make sure that they can still get their positionals in. You also want to make sure you don't cleave any of your allies. So make sure you look out to where the missiles are going to drop. For the tanks, the fight isn't really all that bad to learn. Just make sure you use your cooldowns when you're tanking, because they'll refresh while the bosses go up in the air. I chose not to go into Deliverance. I felt I did not have enough health, because I would only have 14,000 for my healer, and then my incoming heals would be kind of gimped. So I chose to stay in Defiance. I still was able to pull some pretty nice damage while being in Defiance, because I was wearing strength accessories.
I like that. Nice.
So there's 3 patterns with the bombs. The first one is across corners. The second one, they're on the same side. And the third one will show, I don't remember 100%. So again, now I'm running across. I always go back to A. So I didn't provoke here. I just made sure that I stayed on the same one. You don't want them to be tethered too long, or they'll start getting stacks. And they'll actually stop moving where they are. And if they stop moving and they're still tethered, then you're pretty much screwed.
I don't know if those were coming out, but it was cool.
So here is going to be the other home gang. It'll be ready. So I can pop whatever cooldowns I want to make sure that I take a lot less damage, to be able to help my healers deal with prey.
This is Ron's home gang.
Now if you're playing a different tank class, talk amongst yourselves and figure out which tank is using what cooldowns, just so that it's easier for your healers. What I mean by that is like Hollow Ground or Living Dead, I think, for the Dark Knight. Home gang can be used twice. The other ones can only be used once, I think. But make sure if you use Home gang, use Second Wind and Equilibrium to help your healers out right after. And try to line up an Inner Beast in there, just to help heal after the initial hit. Now I pop Convalescence just about 10 seconds, maybe even 5 seconds before they jump up, so that the Convalescence is still up for the Adlo for the group.
Just heal the tanks. What does that it'll pick up from that again? Okay, I got it.
So yes, same. They're both on the same side again for the third phase.
Okay, so just DPS.
There's really no rush in this phase. They do have some. They do take some time to drop. Again, always go back to your side and figure out if you're provoking or leaving it to which one is you already have hate on. Now the last phase here, you want to make sure that you try to line them up for the mage limit break.
Okay, that'll be here. We're actually gonna kill it this time around.
Now the enrage happens at the same time that the 4th tank muster would happen, and the missiles dropping. So basically, it would be just a massive amount of damage at one time. So for that reason, we decided to ignore the ads on the last phase.
Don't touch that. Do not touch that. Don't.
Come on, 6 and 5%.
Same thing as normal, you want to kill them at the same time.
Kill boss.
So you want to help out your healers as much as you can, pop every single cooldown you have. If they're okay with you being in Deliverance, go for it. You're just trying to push as much damage as possible.
Dude, you died.
Add minions.
No, don't kill me. Oh my god. Kill the boss. Kill.
Yes!
So that was really good for a pug. I'll go over it again and add annotations to try and help you guys out and explain how I do things. There's a lot of, like I said, there's multiple ways to do this fight. As always, thank you all for watching. Thank you for all your support. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
Oh, we get one loot. We get one chest.
Oh, we got loot. We got a chest.
Yeah, we get one chest.
Token.